Good morning, everyone. As mentioned, my name is Vladana Jevtic. I'm a Trade Commissioner at the Ontario Regional Office of the TCS, which is actually based just here in Toronto.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sonia Hukil. I'm also a Trade Commissioner at the Ontario Regional Office, but I'm based in the Waterloo region. I'm co-located, rather embedded at Communitech, and very excited to be here with all of you. The EDC folks, Emiliano and Melanie, they've really set the bar quite high, so please have very low expectations from me.
So we're here to talk to you all of you this morning, obviously, about what the Trade Commissioner Service does. We call it the TCS, what we do and how we can help your business grow globally. So we're able to do all of this because of our network, and one of the things that you might not actually know about us is how widespread we are around the world. We're actually kind of one of the government's best kept secrets. Sonia, if you want to kind of go ahead.
Yeah, not as Vladana said, not many of you have heard of the Trade Commissioner Service before today. We truly are the Government of Canada's well-kept secrets. Our mandate is to advance Canada's commercial interests in the global marketplace. What that means, in very simple terms, we help companies of varying sizes, so all the way from startups to scale-ups to large corporates, enter new markets, to successfully soft land in a new market. And we do this by connecting our clients, companies, with customers in a foreign market, help facilitate introductions with channel partners, with investors. We also provide our clients with business insights on market trends, sector trends, any sort of trade policy, political issue in a foreign market that you should be aware of as a company. We provide you with that sort of intelligence as well. And some things which appear to be very simple yet very critical, like understanding how to transact business in a different culture. We are also able to provide you with information, with high quality intelligence on that stuff as well.
Another one of our priorities is trade diversification, and what you might not know about the TCS is that on average companies that use our services tend to export 20% more and they access 20% more markets. So it's just a great service that you can kind of tap into if you're interested in kind of going beyond those markets where you're already comfortable and you're thinking about going somewhere that's a bit of a challenge, it's new to you.
The companies that we work with, we call them the clients of the TCS, or TCS clients, and we've, as a department, we've done empirical studies and surveys where it was revealed to us that a lot of the clients that we work with, they tend to export a lot more than companies that do not leverage our services. And the great thing is that most of our services, in fact, all of our services are free of charge. But there is a caveat, there is a client qualification criteria that we have in place. So three things that would qualify a company to be a TCS client. First is that they need to be a member of the Canada's business community. By that I mean that the company needs to be incorporated, affiliated, have a plant, an R&D establishment in Canada. Second, they need to have demonstrated the capacity for internationalization. So as a company, you need to do a bit of your groundwork on your target markets, who your customer would be, who is your partner on the ground, how do you intend to sell your product, your service line in a foreign market, how big is your addressable market, things that Emiliano talked about, the risks in insurance and financing. Having an understanding of that really reveals to us that you are serious to sort of embark on that exporting adventure. Of course, it doesn't have, your export plan doesn't have to be a perfect piece. We'll sit down with you, provide you with advice to help you refine that strategy for you.
Yep. And so it's already.
And sorry, the third thing that I totally forgot is the benefits to Canada. So as a company, the last qualification criteria that we have is the economic benefit that you can have to Canada. Because all our services are free of charge, we look for the ability for a company to contribute to job creation in Canada, increase revenue, increase their production capacity in Canada, lead to any sort of increase in R&D, a tech transfer. So that's the third qualification criteria that we have.
So it's been alluded to a little bit already, but we are a pretty broad network. We have 160 offices around the world that are generally co-located with our embassies and our consulates. This includes 5 regional offices in Canada, which are they're your first point of contact. So how you plug into the TCS is by reaching out to us here in Toronto if you're an Ontario-based company, and we'll kind of get to know your company, qualify you as a client, and then we can also connect you with our network abroad. So this is just an illustration of kind of where we are, and as you can see, it's kind of everywhere. Even if we don't have Trade Commissioner Service presence necessarily in a country, we have a neighboring country that covers it in some of the kind of less trafficked regions. And so, yeah, as mentioned, your first point of contact is really the local office, and we kind of will help you get to that point where you are ready.
So I often harp about the benefits of engaging with your local trade commissioner and leveraging the services of the trade commissioner service. And I do that not because, or not just because I'm an employee of the department, but because I've genuinely firsthand seen the sort of transformative, the value-added difference that the trade commissioners can make and make on the client's export journey. Working at Communitech, as I mentioned, I work with very small niche companies that it's a struggle for them, to enter a new market, to get the right door open to the right contact. But with the support of the trade commissioners on the ground that have this extensive network, this privileged access to foreign governments, key business leaders, key decision makers in market, they're able to easily, save you time, save you cost, and connect you to that right contact in the market.
So here in this slide, we just have an illustration of the number of services we delivered in 2018 and 2019. And as you can see, it's really quite spread around the world. And our locally engaged trade commissioners who are based in these markets and would deliver those services in market, they're our colleagues who are engaged for their kind of specific expertise on that given market. They can kind of give you a sense of whether your product or service is competitive in that market in terms of pricing, in terms of kind of your approach. Are there other competitors that you should be aware of if you're going into that market? So through both our Canadian colleagues here in Canada and through our network abroad, we can really help you gain that market insight, help you find new opportunities, connect with those contacts, and also resolve some of those business problems that you might run into that are unexpected. Your things are stuck in a warehouse. What do I do? That's when you would call the Trade Commissioner Service. Hopefully you have a close connection with your regional office, but you can also connect with the Trade Commissioner who's in the market if the time zone kind of dictates that.
So far, we've talked about the services that we offer, but something of additional value to you as companies is the funding programs that we have and the special support programs that we have. For the sake of time, we'll talk about 3 of them, but we do have a range of different services and funding programs, so we'd be happy to sort of have a conversation offline after this presentation.
So one of the neatest programs that we'd like to kind of introduce to you today is, it's been mentioned and it's kind of advertised here as well, is CanExport SMEs. Through CanExport SMEs, companies can apply online for up to $75,000 in funding, and up to 75% of your costs will be covered. So that's 75 cents on the dollar per project. And you can also have 2 projects per year, provided that they don't overlap. This is a program that will help you access up to 5 target markets in a given project. So it doesn't have to just be, I'm looking at, Colombia. It can also be, I'm looking at Colombia, Ecuador, and a couple of different Latin American markets that are there as well. And
one thing that I'd like to add is that the CanExport program is one of our flagship funding programs. A lot of our clients in Waterloo region particularly have applied for the program and have had success in getting the application approved. And very recently, I believe last month, a couple of the provisions of the CanExport funding program got streamlined in favor of clients and Canadian companies. A couple of activities that qualify for the CanExport funding program is if you are looking to go to a foreign market and attend a trade show or trade event, if you're looking to, sort of adapt your material in a foreign market, translate your material in a foreign market, if you're looking to sort of have IP protection. So those are some of the activities that get offset by the CanExport funding, even things like market research, hiring a consultant on the ground who can, provide you with advice on business, legal sort of advice and tax-related advice as well. So those are some of the the activities that qualify for CanExport funding. Now, too, there's also a caveat in terms of the companies that get approved. So the basic 4 or 5 different caveats that we have is that to qualify for the CanExport funding program, you need to be a for-profit and incorporated company in Canada. You need to have employees up to, I believe, 500 employees. And you need to have a revenue threshold of between 100K to 100 million in the last fiscal year. And the last thing is that you need to have a CRA, a Canadian Revenue Business number as well.
Typically, CanExport applications it's one of the less labor-intensive programs there are through the government. You can get a quick approval. Generally speaking, it's under 25 business days that you can find out if your project has been approved or denied, which is pretty good because a lot of times companies tend to know well in advance if they're going to be going to a trade show or an event like that. And it's been pretty successful. So far, we've had 1,700 projects approved, and since the revamp this summer, there's been a great influx of applications because people are realizing this is such a great program that can help me tap into some funding, reduce my risk when I'm going to a new market. On average, the projects tend to be a $30,000 contribution from the Government of Canada to offset your costs. So it's a pretty great program, and we'd love to kind of field any of your questions if you have questions about CanExport.
And moving beyond CanExport funding program, we also have special support programs. So perhaps many of you have heard of the Canadian Technology Accelerator Program. It was actually conceived and conceptualized by Thierry Weissenberger, who is our colleague now working in LA. And the premise of CanExport, CTA's, the Canadian Technology Accelerator Program, is to help growth-oriented, high-potential companies enter new markets, expand in new markets, and if you are inducted in the CTA program, you will be attached to mentors that can provide you with mentorship. Actually, I wouldn't use the word mentorship. I'd say you get access to expert advice. Advisors that will tell you how to localize your product, your service in a new market, who to connect with. So it's a really great avenue to connect with key decision makers, industry leaders in a foreign market. We have CTAs that are located in major tech hubs. So in the US, we have CTAs. They recently got rolled out in Asia as well. So we have CTAs I believe, in Japan, Singapore, Taiwan, and Hong Kong. And it's a fantastic program to sort of leverage. The other program that we have focused for women-owned companies is called the BWIT program. It's the Business Women in International Trade program. And essentially, it's like what we do, the trade commissioners, but we have a special dedicated team of trade commissioners in Ottawa that focus exclusively on women entrepreneurs. And they will provide them with advisory support services, any sort of funding programs. They even lead special trade missions that are focused on women. So it's a very valuable program to leverage if you are a woman entrepreneur and if you own or manage or control a business up to 51%.
Now, I'm going to be talking about our trade missions, but before we move on, I just wanted to go back and mention another kind of offset of our CanExport program, which is designed specifically for innovators. So CanExport Innovation is this program, and similar to CanExport SMEs, you can access up to $75,000 in funding, again on a cost share basis of 75 cents on the dollar. And it's specifically for funding your travel in order to seek foreign collaborators, whether they're universities or private sector partners who can co-develop, validate, and help commercialize your technologies. So that's CanExport Innovation, kind of the sister program to CanExport SMEs. Now, trade missions and events. We organize a great deal of trade missions and events beyond just business women in international trade. We also have general trade missions that are open to all kinds of businesses. These are great in terms of connecting you with potential buyers and partners at industry trade events, and we can also connect you through our trade missions and events to export cafes and curated, pre-arranged B2B meetings. A recent example of an event at which we organized B2B meetings at was Collision, which you may be familiar with, the tech summit that's just moved to Toronto for the next 3 years. And at Collision, we actually organized over 450 individual B2B meetings with incoming buyers and our Ontario-based clients that we're familiar with. So that's one reason to really get to know your Ontario regional office, so that when events like this come along that are compatible, even if they're a smaller scale, if they're compatible with your profile, with your business and what you can offer, we can connect you with those buyers in the context of both inbound and outbound trade missions and events.
And one last thing that I'll leave you all with is that if you think that you're not yet at that stage to work with the Trade Commissioner Service, as a department, we do follow a serve and refer model where we have partners, federal partners, and partners at the provincial level and municipal levels. So if we think and if you think that you're not kind of at the right stage to leverage our services at this moment, we'll refer you to other resources like the EDC, BDC, CCC, and other acronyms as well. But we. And so, all this to say that we as trade commissioners, I'm the biggest advocate and the biggest fan of the Trade Commissioner Service because I've really seen, as I said, the kind of difference that, or the great impact that as a department we have on clients. So please feel free to leverage us, contact us. We have a booth right there somewhere. So please drop by and talk to us. We're always happy to chat.
One of the key takeaways that we'd like you to come away with from this is that there's no wrong door. So if you have an export-related question, you're kind of stuck, you're not sure what to do next, contact us. And even if it's not a service or a program that we're able to offer directly, if it's not something that's within our suite of programs, we'll definitely connect you with our colleagues within the federal family and with provincial, municipal organizations, trade organizations, and so on. We have a wide network, and it doesn't just extend to potential clients or customers. It's also within kind of our institutional network as well. Now, we also want to make sure that you know how to connect with us. So here we have this is our email address. The Toronto Regional Office is Ontario, TCS, sdc@international.gc.ca. And we're happy to talk to you if you have kind of questions, but yeah, this is just kind of our introductory conversation with you. Please do kind of treat it as an introductory talk, and we'd love to connect with you further along as well. One more thing to add for any of the French speakers, we also do have a French presentation that's available at the front. We're very bilingual. And I think that's about it. And
do we have time to take questions? No time? Okay, sorry. Just chat with us.
Since we don't have time for a Q&A, we'll just do one last shout out, which is to the pitch finalists. Many of the pitch finalists are actually TCS clients. Out of the 8 who are in the finalists, except for the wild card who's just announced, 6 of them are actually TCS clients. So it just goes to show that you don't necessarily have to be a very established business. We also work with startups and with scale-ups. So please feel free to connect with us.
Thank you.